Welcome inside the vault on this Thursday, June 12th. It's a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream for you, and it's brought to you by Baltimore County Golf, our new friends that have a lot going on, including a Father's Day giveaway that today is the last day to enter. I'll tell you about it in just a second. I'm Bobby Trossett. My partner and co-host, Sarah Ellison, is on vacation. She'll be back next week, and I look forward to getting her back in the saddle. She and her daughter, London, look to have had a fantastic getaway in Switzerland, and now they're out in Utah. So continued shout-outs to my co-host and her family. Like the video if you could on the way in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or perhaps gift-giving a membership. We start today's show. You know, I love the count. It's 718. 718 channel Voltrons. An unbelievable display of consistency from you guys, generosity and kindness over the last couple months since we rolled out that feature. So perhaps 750 is in the carbs, perhaps 800 could be in the cards. And before I dive into today's content, again, I would love for you to join, or I should say enter into our giveaway that we're doing with Baltimore County Golf. It's a Father's Day special. And right now, if you enter in, you're going to give yourself a chance to win $350 in credit towards the purchase of a new golf club or clubs at the Fox Hollow Training Center. Plus, on top of that, a 30-minute custom fitting to guarantee that you get it to your liking. So, again, you can enter once a day, or I should say you've had a chance to enter once a day throughout the course of this week. Today's the last day. We're going to randomly announce and select our winner coming up tomorrow and let you know on the show who that is. So it's perfect for Father's Day, perfect in the spirit of the U.S. Open being underway today at Oakmont. It's the first round, and for those of you who are golf fans, you know that I am. I'm fired up about this new opportunity. I know Sarah is as well. We'll be getting her back into the swing of things coming up next week. And tomorrow, by the way, in double honor of Father's Day, and to help me announce this winner, one Francis Trossett will be joining the show. My father, Francis J. Trossett. I look forward to it. Appreciate you guys for being with me on this Thursday. The super chats are coming in already. I haven't even had a chance to tell you what the rundown is today, and that is as follows. It's going to be a jam-packed one as usual. And we'll begin with John Harbaugh's comments from yesterday. Did he just hint at something that could potentially be incoming when it comes to the two high-profile corners who are available right now? I thought his comments yesterday were telling. We'll have to see what you think coming up in just a bit. The Ravens' sleeping giant who's waiting in the wings defensively. I'll tell you who that might be. Chuck Smith had an epic press conference yesterday. Ravens pass rush guru and specialist. Is there panic in Tyler Loop land? Not a great practice for him yesterday as he tries to win the kicking battle and the competition between he and undrafted rookie John Hoyland. And there are a number of other things, including John Harbaugh's appearance on Good Morning Football with his daughter Allison in honor of, again, Father's Day earlier this morning. All that and more is what I have coming up for you. Let's get to a few quick super chats before we get underway today. Sod Blitz 34, before I could even press live, hit me with one. And he writes, September 2024, Ravens lose 2 games to start the season. January 2024, Bobby gets the plague in Buffalo, New York. June 2025, Bobby, quote, I don't see how camp matters in January. He also writes, our first 6 games can determine where we play in January, for sure. But Sod, are you sitting here telling me that Lamar's lack of attendance at OTAs you think could lead to, or did lead to, an 0-2 start last year? Or was that the self-inflicted trend that we saw all season long and a horrid pass defense? I'm going with the latter of those two. Appreciate you, brother. Douglas H. Brown Sr., a channel member, writes, I can't keep up with PHP, Chris M., and the others. Chris is now entering rare air territory. I love it. PHP territory. I am just an older, retired OG, but I try to be consistent and here for you, Sarah and Bobby. I am thankful for the Flock Nation. Douglas, we're thankful for you being you, and we appreciate anything and everything that you provide this show. Thank you. And Chase says, this season for every offensive touchdown, I'll donate 5. Oh, wow. Chase says, how about Thursday starting off with a bang here, courtesy of Chase? Chase says, this season, for every offensive touchdown, I'll donate 5 gifts, and every defensive touchdown, I'll donate 10. Chase, if this is something that you're truly signing up for, I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this because we're going to need, not that I'm holding you to it because that's a big commitment, a very big commitment, especially if Lamar goes off. But the reason why I'm screenshotting your super chat right now is because if you actually hold yourself to this, I'm going to make sure that we talk about it throughout the entire season, because that is one heck of a proposition, one heck of a statement from you. So thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here today. And without further ado, let's get into the content, because Jair Alexander, former Green Bay Packers corner, all-pro, Pro Bowler, Lamar Jackson's former teammate at Louisville, one of the best cover corners when healthy, is available. And Josina Anderson, and because he's available, by the way, is due to, or the reason I should say that he's available is because Green Bay released him. They couldn't agree on a restructured contract. Okay. That's the latest, just in case you've been living under a rock throughout the course of this week. Josina Anderson earlier this week tweeted out late, or I should say early, on Tuesday, I believe it was, that she had heard 6 teams made immediate inquiries about him and his availability. Okay? Immediate inquiries. Unclear whether or not, okay, upon his release, I was going to say unclear whether or not it was to his representation or to the Packers to try and maybe get a trade done before that went final at 4 p.m. Eastern. But this was, okay, so this was on Monday. Immediate inquiries were made to Jair's camp on Monday when this went official. John Harbaugh was asked about a number of things yesterday. And in this clip, you'll hear him talk about TJ Tampa, who's a second-year corner and a former 4th-round pick out of Iowa State, whose rookie season was really derailed in a lot of ways because of that double sports hernia procedure he went on. He underwent, I should say, in August. He talks about TJ. He talks about Chuck Pagano's impact on the secondary. And then at the end of this clip, listen to what he says and how he answers Jeff Zaribek's question regarding the 2 high-profile corners who were available. Jair's not the only one. He's available on the open market. Miami's just trying to get Jalen Ramsey's market to be robust. This back in April from Ian Rappaport, you might remember. They are mutually, meaning Miami and Jalen Ramsey and his camp, are mutually set to explore trade options. We learned that back in April. And as Ian said, it wouldn't be a surprise if he played elsewhere in 2025. He's due $25.1 million fully guaranteed this season. And it looks like the two could be parting ways. But that was back in April. We're now in mid-June. And Rap Sheet provided the latest, according to his sources, earlier this week. I should say last week by now. But Ian said as the Dolphins and star corner Jalen Ramsey continue to work towards a trade, Ramsey is not planning to attend mandatory minicamp this week. He'll stay away as the situation works to a conclusion. Now enter John Harbaugh. We'll have a big conversation about the secondary as a whole and give you some updates on some injured players along the way.
You know, that wasn't the case last year. He came in with the groin type situation that you get surgery on. So that's been a big plus. So the reps are really good for him. I've seen a lot of flashes. I mean, flashing some real good plays. Keep chasing the consistency with the technique. I think TJ's a young player in the sense that I don't even think sometimes he understands how good he is, how talented, how big he is. You know, so I want him to play big. You know, play like a big corner and embrace that as far as his technique. And he's been working on doing that, and you see it really coming around.
One of the guys who went to Chuck Pagano when he first got here, just seeking advice. How valuable is it? Simple question, but how valuable is it to have a guy like Chuck for a guy in his position?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, you know, Chuck's a great coach and does a great job with these guys. Experience, but Chuck, even when he was a young coach, he was a great coach. I know, because I was young then too, you know, and he's always been a talented superstar secondary coach, defensive back coach, defensive coach. He was a great head coach. So, yeah, it's very valuable.
John, kind of piggybacking off the Tampa question, you got a lot of young corners in that room. There's 2 high-profile guys available. Do you like where you're at as far as your cornerback depth that's in the building, or is that something you guys are kind of looking outside the building for?
Well, I mean, I really look at it as an or. I look at it as an and. Yes, we're happy with the guys we have, and I'm very confident those guys are all going to do well. And we turn over every stone, so you're always interested in anything you see on the waiver wire or anything else.
Interesting comments there. We turn over every stone, not necessarily something we haven't heard before from John Harbaugh when a player at a position of need, at least in terms of depth, becomes available. You heard him. Quote, I don't look at it as an or. I look at it as an and. Yes, we are happy with the guys we have, and we turn over every stone. Jeff didn't go out and ask specifically, or I should say, refer to those names specifically in Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey when he referred to 2 high-profile corners. But the reality is we all know who's available. And certainly because the Ravens have had interest in the past in Jair, it only makes this more intriguing. I'll read from you right off the top here, Jeff's latest on The Athletic that was published this morning. Go check it out if you haven't already done so. He wrote, John Harbaugh wasn't pleased with some of the coverages during an organized team activity earlier this week, and he wanted to discuss his concerns with young corner TJ Tampa. The two had a brief conversation with Harbaugh doing much of the talking, and it seemed the head coach got his point across to the 2024 fourth-round pick. Again, TJ has battled his fair share of injuries through one lone year in the National Football League. Played just 18 defensive snaps a season ago, but he had a strong finish to OTAs, as you heard there from John Harbaugh, also noting the importance of reps. Not all veterans, attendance-wise, were at OTAs. And by the way, if you're keeping up with their schedule, the 10th and final session, or practice, I think it was 3 or 4 sessions in total, was canceled today. So no media session at 2:30, no practice. They're going to have workouts and meetings at one winning drive. So just keep that in mind. There's no press conference coming up later this afternoon. But this kind of just begs the question. With how young they are outside of Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton, and knowing that Jalen Armour-Davis, I'm just talking about the secondary as a whole, not necessarily the corner position. We know that this is a positionless defense. Takes quite a bit of selflessness to play within the confines of what Zach Orr and John Harbaugh want to do defensively. And I think that's what makes Kyle Hamilton such a weapon because, well, he thrives in a positionless defense because the guy can play essentially all 3 levels of the defense at ease. And we've seen that based on his snap count, based on his alignment throughout the course of his young career. But where my mind takes me is, one, something that Ozzie Newsome has shared many a time over the years, and that is this idea of not ever really having enough corners. And if you feel like you do have enough corners, go add another one. And where the Ravens sit right now at the cornerback position is decent on paper, but it could change in an instant. You feel good about Nate Wiggins, a second-year player, a former first-round pick, somebody that was really tremendous. And they added to his plate periodically, methodically, throughout his first year. Marlon Humphrey still playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level, particularly when it comes to inside in the slot, where his physicality, vision, and everything else pops. Cheeto Awuzie is the veteran who has good tape on his resume, but has had some questions in the availability and durability categories. One of the many reasons why Tennessee was happy to part ways with him, released him this offseason, and is now paying $7.5 million for him to suit up as a Baltimore Raven. Outside of those players at the corner position, you're young and inexperienced. The aforementioned TJ Tampa. I know Mel Kiper and others feel like he can take a step. But can I sit here and stick my neck out there and tell you that I feel confident that TJ's capable of doing that, I don't know how I could. I feel like that would be irresponsible. We've really only seen him as a special teams player. We know that he dropped to the 4th round a year ago, and he's a different style player and a different body type than Nate Wiggins. But this dude's a strong, capable corner. I just don't know how quickly he can develop and if they can rely on him so soon into his career. Then you got a slew of players, both undrafted that are rookies, and a couple that you picked in the 6th round on day 3 just this past April. Is Bilal Cohn and Robert Longerbeam. And then the player that's sort of like, I would think, a bona fide roster bubble man is Jalen Armour-Davis. Right? 4th-year corner, 4th round pick back in 2022. Struggled to stay on the field with injury after injury after injury. So much so the Ravens are willing to give him a look at safety. So long story short, this is a secondary that on paper you feel good about, assuming that Cheeto can be a serviceable replacement for Brandon Stevens and can, most importantly, remain healthy. But all it takes is one setback for you to feel a little different about the makeup. Speaking of the makeup, speaking of the health, the good news is for 2 different members of the Ravens secondary, Beau Braid and Cheeto Awuzie both look to have avoided significant injuries. John Harbaugh referred to them as minor ankle injuries, nothing serious. So Beau Braid, of course, is the former undrafted rookie out of Maryland that made the 53 last year, and Cheeto's who I've already told you about, the veteran, the Brandon Stevens replacement on paper. So that's good news. You obviously wonder if that lingers into mandatory minicamp, which is set to begin on the 17th. It's a 3-day mandatory minicamp next week. And then just in case you were wondering why Mike Green wasn't practicing yesterday, I saw on his Instagram that he was attending a funeral. And by the way, Mike has yet to sign his rookie deal. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if there's something similar taking place with what's going on in Cincinnati. Sort of some of the language, some of the guarantees that Shamar Stewart's dealing with. By the way, there's an update on him that I'll get to in quick hits. But that is at least a positive piece of news here for a Ravens secondary that, could easily start to look a little thin on top of Ardarius Washington's setback, knowing that he probably won't be available, barring I don't know if miracle is the right word, because he says he's a quick healer. He's already proven to be a quick healer, but he literally just is weeks out from tearing his Achilles, undergoing a procedure, and now in his recovery timeline. So is December or January within reach? I have no idea. The Ravens certainly shouldn't be banking on that because he'll need to be ramped up along the way as well. So that's that. Appreciate you guys for being with me here on this Thursday. It's the 12th of June. Got some Mike Green chatter along with some Zach Orr chatter to come for you. Please like the video on your way in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. You guys know the drill. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Baltimore County Golf. I told you about them off the top, and I'm going to tell you about them now. First and foremost, today is your final day to enter yourself in for a chance to win a $350 credit towards the purchase of a new golf club or clubs at the Fox Hollow Training Center. That's in honor of the U.S. Open, which is now underway today at Oakmont, and it's in honor of Father's Day weekend. On top of that, they're going to give you a 30-minute custom fitting as well. It's great stuff. You've had a chance to enter each day this week. Today's the last day. And Francis, my father, Frank Trossett, will be joining the program tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out if it's in person or virtual to help me announce the winner, which will be randomly selected. On top of that, Baltimore County Golf operates 5 public golf courses in the Baltimore area: Greystone, The Woodlands, Diamond Ridge, Fox Hollow, and Rocky Point. Play more and pay less with Baltimore County Golf. You can grab a 3-pack of lessons from a Baltimore County Golf teaching professional near you and start playing more today. Fox Hollow Training Center offers special clinics all summer long that introduce you to the game of golf and get you comfortable on the golf course. And maybe the best little incentive they got for you here is the Advantage card. It comes with plenty of perks. $40 is going to get you greens fee and golf shop discounts, 16-day advanced tee time reservations, $20 in coupons, access to twilight times 1 hour earlier than the general public, and loyalty rewards points on everything from greens fees to food and beverage. You can click on the link that's included in the show notes. It's also a pinned comment right now in the live chat. BaltimoreGolfing.com to learn more, and we would love for you to visit the site. Visit that link, enter yourself into the Father's Day contest, and get ready because we're ready to roll out a whole lot more. We got more in the tank coming up next week with Baltimore County Golf, and I know Sarah and I are both thrilled to have them as our newest partnership. Chance Patton is a channel member, and he just dropped in a $10 super chat. What's going on, Chance? He says, hey, what's up, Bobby? I listen to your show on Spotify all the time. I work graveyard. I wanted to pop on and say what's up. You and Sarah keep up the great work. #RavensFlock. Chance, so good to have you. I appreciate you holding it down in the audio-only space, and it's a great way for me to shamelessly plug that every single day, our 60-plus minutes worth of these live streams are repurposed to live in the audio-only space. That's how we started 3 years ago, and we continue to serve that audience for those of you who are on the run, perhaps like Chance, and people that just enjoy the traditional podcasting space. But obviously, YouTube is sort of the hub for what we do, and we repurpose all of our content to live in audio-only form. So thank you for the support in that space, Chance. Sea King says, Super Bowl season, it's incoming. So saith I, the Sea King. And that, my friends, brings me to our next topic. On the way in, if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, hit that notification bell. You guys know the drill. We began today at 718 channel Voltrons. We'll see what number we finish up with before Friday. Friday could be a big one with Francis showing up. It's going to be a fun one. Let's talk more about Mike Green. I have a sense that we're going to do quite a bit of Mike Green content for the foreseeable future as he prepares for his first season as a Baltimore Raven. And it seems as if everybody, whether it's his peers, teammates, or staff, his coaches, continue to speak so glowingly of him. But it hits different when the pass rush specialist, Chuck Smith, one of my personal favorites, when he starts speaking glowingly of him before the pads have come on, kind of catches your ear, catches your eye. Listen to Chuck Smith.
I saw Mike Green was effort, guy who runs to the ball. And if you watched him out here, Mike Green runs to the ball every play. And that you don't have to coach him on. That's one of the best things. When you get to be a pro, you shouldn't have to coach effort. And a lot of guys that come out of college, you say, let's go, got to push them. That's one of the first things I saw in Mike Green. And then he's coachable. He wants to learn. He's in there asking questions with Matt and Dennis when we're all combined as far as a defensive front, when we're all together in the room. And that's another thing that stands out in him. He's super smart, and picking up the defense. And, I give Mike a lot of credit. He comes out here. Mike has heavy hands. He doesn't turn down reps and heavy hands. He puts hands on guys. He's shown that he has the ability to, strike blocks. And, in this, again, we're not, all out, and all that will be seen, again, when we get into camp. But as far as Mike doing everything we ask, he's doing it. And from a pass rush standpoint, Mike is very, he's skilled up. Give him credit, give his school a lot of credit, and his coach in college at Marshall and probably Virginia. Mike, he can cross chop. Mike can spin. Mike can ghost. But, from that standpoint, Mike is the best example of this new generation that have learned, like, from the pros, and he comes in already really highly skilled up. So, give him a lot of credit. I mean, Mike is get off. Just amazed that, he's in his base 2-point stance. He has no false steps. He gets off on the ball fast. So I can't say enough about Mike so far. Now we put the pads on. So the Mike Green that we've seen so far is everything that we thought he would be, when we decided to draft him.
Mike Green appears to have shown up ready to go and poised to begin his rookie career. Chuck Smith showed up to yesterday's press conference with a vengeance. Okay. He was over-prepared for this press conference. Mike Green, he spoke on at length. Zach Orr, which I'll have for you in just a second, that's been making its rounds and going viral on social media. Travis Jones, the nose tackle going into his contract season. Tavius Robinson, who he referred to as a defensive front centerpiece. All that's coming up in just a second. But as far as Mike Green is concerned, he's skilled up. He can cross chop. Mike can spin. Mike can ghost. Talking about the variety that he displays within the technique of his pass rush abilities. Mike is the best example of this new generation that have learned from the pros, and he comes in already highly skilled up. His get off, I'm just amazed at when he's in his base 2-point stance and he has no false steps. He gets off on the ball fast. The Mike Green we've seen so far is everything we thought he would be when we decided to draft him. For the audio-only audience, come on over to YouTube for this. But here he is, courtesy of Karita Parks and Bowie TV, one of the reporters on the scene, Mike Green, putting his head down. Right here, 45. Look out. See what Chuck's talking about with those heavy hands? Give him another rep. Get 45 in there for another rep. Outside linebackers getting some work in. Adisa Isaac was the final player, by the way. I believe this is Tavius Robinson right there. Right? Is that 95? Yes, it was. Then Mike. And then finally it was Adisa Isaac, who, of course, is the second-year player at edge rusher out of Penn State, who was barely available during his rookie season a year ago. But there's Mike, courtesy of Bowie TV. No pads. OTAs under his belt. It's early. Of course, his pass rush specialist is going to sing his praises. There's a lot more to be figured out. But so far, so good. When you got your, not defensive coordinator, but when you have somebody as renowned as Chuck Smith singing your praises like this, who really does not come across as sort of a rah-rah guy, I'm not sure Chuck would be getting it. While he's saying the praises of all of those players that I mentioned, Mike, Tavius, Zach Orr from a coach perspective, Travis Jones, I mean, some of it is slightly hyperbolic and trying to get these guys going at this point in the offseason program. But Chuck just does not come across to me whatsoever as somebody that's going to BS you up there. And he certainly didn't do that on Zach Orr. This was the final question of Chuck's press conference. And it was as if he was stewing over this since the end of the season. A multi-month long wait, and Chuck came ready to go again with vengeance. Talking about Zach Orr after his first year, up and down for sure, as an NFL defensive coordinator.
Is this the last question? I'm glad I was hoping somebody asked me this, because all last year I was watching everybody broadcast and talking. I lived it, I walked it, I seen it. I watched this coordinator stand on 10 toes. Zach Orr is the guy. Zach Orr, I'm telling you, is going to be an incredible coordinator. And let me tell you why. When we were struggling last year, I watched him stand in front of these mics every week and talk to y'all. He didn't flinch. But I also watched him stand in front of a room someday. I mean, we played after the Bengals. It wasn't like we were celebrating because from a defensive standpoint, they did a lot. They had great days on us. Zach Orr, man, looked those players in the eye. He never let the high get high, the low get too low. He stayed in the middle, and I'm telling you, he always would be positive, but he was tough. He's tough on the coaches and the players. And he would tell everybody, he would show everybody how close we were to actually having success. Like it might be an angle of a defensive back running the ball, or it might be a pass rusher that ran past the quarterback and the quarterback ran. Zach would stand and talk to everybody, and he led. He never flinched. And watching this cat do it, and I know last year a lot of people, they were in the media were saying, well, this guy came in and helped. No. Zach Orr did it. Zach Orr in those rooms with the coaches. He led, he made the changes in support with Coach Harbaugh and the guys on that staff. But Zach Orr truly led the charge. I'm a witness to it. And I've been wanting to say this because dude is the truth. Dude didn't flinch, and dude is going to be one of the best coordinators in the league. He is smart. He is a leader. And when you watch him work every day, this dude comes to work. I'm telling you, and I'm just glad that was my last question because I wanted to set the record straight because I'm a part of it. And I have no reason to come up here and BS y'all because, you know, I roll. But Zach Orr was the one who changed what we did last year, and give John Harbaugh a lot of credit. You know, he was in there with us too, but I got to give Zach most of the credit for the adjustments that happened in that secondary and also helping us coaches. He's like, the youngest in charge. That's what I call him. He's a special coach, and I'm really blessed to be around a guy like that.
Youngest in charge just turned 33 the other day, did Zach Orr. I believe he was the youngest defensive coordinator last year. Not sure if that's changed given the hiring cycle of this offseason. But a lot of takeaways after listening to Chuck, really an impassioned Chuck Smith talking about Zach Orr. I mean, he just went to bat. That was 2+ minutes worth of thoughts that clearly looked to have been on his mind since the end of last year. Zach took a lot. He took a lot last year. There was a lot of noise surrounding his name, surrounding his abilities, surrounding his defensive coordinator status through the first half of last year. And deservedly so, right? Because the numbers, the pass defense, it was dreadful. But to me, I continue to believe that it was less about Zach and more about the personnel. And when you saw the lack of want to and desire from Marcus Williams, when you saw the lack of consistency and assignment-driven football from Eddie Jackson, and then you saw how big of a difference, the uplifting change that took place when Darius Washington became running mates with Kyle Hamilton, it became clear to me that this was less about Zach and a whole lot more about his personnel. Chuck said Zach Orr is the guy. Dude is the truth. Dude didn't flinch. Dude is going to be one of the best coordinators in the league. I wanted to set the record straight. Zach Orr was the one that changed what we did last year. I got to give Zach most of the credit for the adjustments that happened in that secondary. Adjustments? Take a look if you need a reminder. Ravens communications, throwing out the remarkable in-season turnaround. They were pretty much bottom of the barrel in every single one of these categories, but weeks 11 through 18, I should say the first 10 weeks, but weeks 11 through 18, the Ravens defense ranked first in yards per game, just over 261. First in points per game, 15.4. First in yards per play, 4.4. First in opponent quarterback rating, 72.2. First in passing touchdowns allowed, 5. And first and third down percentage, 29.7. A remarkable turnaround, a lot of which has to do with, of course, the on-field product. But what I got right there was Chuck Smith making it clear that Zach is their guy, and that while John Harbaugh absolutely needed to, just to protect himself, protect the team, and protect his young defensive coordinator, bring in his former assistant, former NFL defensive coordinator, Dean Pease, as a consultant. Chuck's like, look, while all that might be true, the architect, the guy who stood tall throughout this entire process and did not flinch, to use his words, was the young gun, Zach Orr. And I thought that was super telling for him to go to bat completely unprompted. I guess he was prompted, the final question. But he took that to new heights. And to me, that's a really encouraging sign for the kind of respect that Zach Orr was able to maintain and still maintains inside that locker room. Because you did not see players quitting on Zach Orr. And you did not see or sense any kind of doubt in the staff from press conferences, media sessions, you name it. That Chuck Smith rant garnered a lot of attention yesterday. One that maybe didn't get as much attention as I think it deserves were his thoughts on Tavius Robinson. Tavius is sort of labeled right now as the guy who could very well be primed to break out. He's been referred to as a glass eater prior. And he's a player that's coming off a campaign where, yeah, sure, on paper, there's nothing about his statistics that, let me make sure I have him up in front of me too, so I'm not talking out of the side of my mouth. Yeah, 3.5 sacks, 32 tackles, 13 of which were solo, 4 tackles for loss, and 12 quarterback hits. But he's a durable force, and he's been playing mostly rotational football because of how deep and in a lot of ways experienced with Adafe and Kyle this room has been in recent years. But that's not keeping him away at all from making his impact. And Chuck Smith and John Harbaugh sang Tavius Robinson's praises.
Tavius Robinson doesn't get enough credit because Tavius Robinson is one of our centerpieces. He's not just a guy who, he came up, he's an overachiever. No. Tavius Robinson, when you look at from an organization standpoint, I believe in speaking for our organization. I shouldn't be, but I think they'll always agree. Tavius Robinson is everything you look for in a Baltimore Raven. Every day Tavius Robinson showed up, and this is not me exaggerating, he sits in the front, he takes notes, he plays hard. He's taken more snaps than anybody here since I've been here in practice. He works after practice. He's a good person. He got that dog in him. And what he's really worked on really hard, we've worked on, is Tavius Robinson now is going to be, I believe, a bona fide pass rusher, and he has an opportunity to have a breakout season. I mean, Tavius Robinson came out of college, he ran a 4.6. But then also being in fairness to how it works, Tavius isn't part of the rush group. Doff, and he had Jadavion, you had Kyle, you had those guys, and those are double-digit sackers, guys who've had careers. So he's not getting those reps. So if Tavius Robinson had 250 pass reps a year, he'd get 7, 8, 9 sacks. It's just about the numbers. But Tavius Robinson is everything you look for. He's going to be a good rusher. He's adding rush moves in his repertoire. He's got power. But make no bones about it, Tavius Robinson is a centerpiece in our defensive front for what he does and moving forward.
Had kind of a leap last year. What do you think contributed to that, and how do you see the trajectory of the next 2 years playing out?
I think contributed to that is what standing next to Steve Bisciotti out here during practice, and we both were looking at number 95, this Tavius, and he said, "Has he ever missed a practice?" I'm like, "He's never missed anything. He's never missed a practice. He's never missed a meeting. He's never missed a lifting session. He's never missed a meal. He hasn't missed anything." So all he does is, and when he goes and does it, he does his best. He works hard at everything he does, and it shows up. And when he plays full throttle. So I think that's the key. Plus, he's big and talented.
Tavius Robinson, a lot of positive words there, positive affirmations from John Harbaugh, from Chuck Smith. You heard Chuck, pass rush specialist. Tavius does not get enough credit because Tavius is one of our centerpieces. Tavius is everything you look for in a Baltimore Raven. Tavius Robinson is now going to be, I believe, a bona fide pass rusher, and he has an opportunity to have a breakout season. Make no bones about it. Tavius is a centerpiece in our defensive front. Tavius is a Canadian-born player, 6'6", 262, clearly the work ethic of somebody who wants it. He was drafted in 2023 in the 4th round. He had 2 drafts that year. The Canadian Football League, 8th round, and the NFL, National Football League, 4th round. That was in 2023. He's somebody that, again, kind of comes across as that first one in, last one out, and perhaps has been a little bit under the radar due to usage, due to how crammed that room has been in recent seasons. Good stuff. Somebody that could absolutely see having an impactful year. And somebody that's hoping he has an impactful year, being that it is a contract season for him, is Travis Jones, the nose tackle out of UConn. Remember him back in the third round? Got to go back to 2022. He's been a Raven ever since, playing alongside Michael Pierce. And if it weren't for that darn nagging, I think it was an ankle injury last year, you got to wonder what Travis's season would have been. Or you don't have to wonder, actually, because Chuck will tell you. And he'll make sure you understand clearly what Travis Jones brought to the Baltimore Ravens when healthy a season ago.
Jones is fantastic. Travis Jones is a pass rusher that I'll put him out there one-on-one with 95% of the offensive guards in the league, and they can't block him. Travis Jones is getting ready to be one of the best interior rushers in the game. Last year when he was healthy, he was one of the best interior rushers in the game. The film doesn't lie, nor do the respect he has from the other teams. Travis Jones he's skilled up. And one of the things when I first got here, we talked about, and some of the people that were here, we talked about everybody, we want everybody to have a skill. Whether you're big, you're small, you're a cornerback, a linebacker, we want everybody to have skill. Travis Jones has multiple moves, and he does a chop drive. He can do a hump. He can do long arms. He can do everything. Travis Jones, if things go the way I see it for Travis Jones and the way I think the overview of our team goes, Travis Jones has a chance to be a Pro Bowler. He's as good as any defensive lineman nose guard in the National Football League. And I think this year, when he stays healthy the entire season, I think he'll prove it and put it on tape.
Big talk right there from Chuck Smith on Travis Jones. You heard him. He's a pass rusher that I'll put him out there one-on-one with 95% of the offensive guards in the league, and they can't block him. If you needed a reminder on his measurables, 6'4", 338, a third rounder in 2022 out of UConn. Last year when he was healthy, he was one of the best interior rushers in the game. The film doesn't lie. If things go the way I see for Travis Jones, Travis has a chance to be a Pro Bowler. He's as good as any defensive lineman nose guard in the National Football League. And the opportunity that he has in front of him with Michael Pierce in retirement is significant. That kind of concludes the big four in a sense, not including Odafe Owe, because he was mostly asked about these other players in terms of what resulted in compelling answers. Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, Travis Jones, and who was the fourth? There was one more. Zach Orr was the fourth clip. But technically, he spoke very highly of Odafe and some of his physical transformation. We know he gained 20 pounds. And so if we're looking at it like that, core four, in terms of pass rushers, the interior presence, up and down Chuck's defensive front, the core four that he really spoke up significantly on is Travis Jones, is Tavius Robinson, is Odafe Owe, and Mike Green. Not all four are going to be able to eat at a Pro Bowl level, you would think. And I'm going to continue to temper expectations for a rookie that's going to have a learning curve in front of him and likely will start off in some level of rotation and earn the reps off of that. But this is a group that on paper, should they be able to stack health throughout this upcoming season, I expect them to be right there at the tippy top yet again, collectively competing for the top sack-getting team in all the land. They were number 2 last year. They were number 1 in 2023, and that was the trifecta year, of course. Takeaways, sacks, points allowed. It's no coincidence, as I continue to say over and over again, that the arrival of Chuck Smith, this defense has been elite since the arrival. And of course, the defense was elite plenty prior to Chuck Smith's arrival. But you've seen key developments in the pass rush since Chuck got to Baltimore. And ultimately, that to me is a reflection of John Harbaugh's hiring vision. He does not get enough credit for that aspect of this job. We'll see if it pays dividends for the Ravens in year 3 with Chuck Smith coming up in 2025. The chat is absolutely, I don't even know. The chat is, I literally don't even know what to say about the chat today. I've been catching little bits of pieces of comments and wondering what the hell is going on. Let me get back to super chats on that note. DreDog679 says, Bobby, thanks for sharing your Instagram content in the Discord for people like me that don't have Instagram. You're welcome, Dre. We were going back and forth a little bit last night, which I think is a good example of what's fun about the Discord server. If you're looking to get to know me, maybe on more of I don't know, not formal, but informal level, the Bobby Baltimore Discord server is a great place to join. It's a 24/7 hub for conversation surrounding Baltimore sports. We talk a little bit of everything. Ravens football, Orioles baseball, Caps hockey, you name it. If you want to join, it's free. 24/7. I know Dre's getting in there, mixing it up. Bunch of new members. We're coming up on 900. And I'll throw the link right in there right now if you'd like to join. Chat's got to shape up, man. C King says, there's like 400 people in here, so simply scroll up and hit the like button. It's free and helps the channel out. Come on now, y'all, with a little heart. Thanks, C King. Appreciate you recruiting likes. Honestly, it really isn't. It may seem like irrelevant or small or minor. The likes allow this channel from an algorithm perspective to be viewed and discovered by more. That's the same with subscriptions. That's the same with interacting with us in the comment section. You name it. It really goes a long way, and all 3 of those things are free to do. So appreciate you, C King, and I hope everybody will follow suit. We got a couple new channel members, which is exciting. First of the day. I know it was about 20 minutes ago, but Gwen Muse is our first new channel Voltron today, which brings us to 719. Welcome. Welcome, Gwen. So good to have you. Michelle Spate, on top of her Patreon membership, has become a channel member. That brings us to 720. Welcome to both of you, Gwen and Michelle. Chase, and let me just make sure I don't lose track of where we are. 720. Chase says, math isn't my strong suit. I made a mistake. Offensive touchdown, 1 gift, and defense, 5 gifts. I still got to buy food. Haha, my fault, Vault. Don't apologize for the slightest. That's why I wasn't going to hold you to it. And the only reason why I screenshot your original one, which was this season for every offensive touchdown, I'll donate 5 gifts, and every defensive touchdown, I'll donate 10, was because I just wanted to give you love along the way. I don't blame you at all for backtracking. I don't even refer to it as backtracking. I refer to it as incredible generosity. So regardless, I'm going to screenshot this second one, Chase, and whatever you can do. Don't feel like you have to do this throughout the course of a 17-game season. This defense might be more high-flying than we think because they've heard the noise about the lack of turnovers they've been able to successfully force in recent years, which has been majorly woeful in the playoffs too. So we're not going to hold you to it, but I do want to give you love along the way, and I do appreciate your generosity. James Green writes, hey, double Bravens should apply more pressure on the pass rush. Hey, double Bravens should apply more pressure on the pass rush. Double Bravens. I can't decipher that one in real time. DreDog679, thank you, James, says Tavius is a more athletic Brent Urban. I think we'll see a ton of him on defensive end, which is crazy because it'll be either next to KVN, Adafe, or Mike Green. Those are sort of the potential combinations that get you excited. Tavius is a baller. And the way that you hear his peers speak about him tells you all you need to know. James Green, on top of his super chat from a moment ago, got us to our first 5-channel membership gift. 725 is where we currently sit overall. We began the show at 718. James, thanks for your contribution. Thanks for your gift. 725 channel Voltrons is where we currently sit on this Thursday. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys. If you haven't already done so, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content, and consider becoming a channel member. And also, if you haven't already done so, enter that giveaway for our $350 credit that goes directly towards a golf club, golf clubs, custom fitting, 30-minute session at the Fox Hollow Training Center in Baltimore County, courtesy of Baltimore County Golf. It's in honor of Father's Day this weekend, and it's in honor of the U.S. Open getting underway from Oakmont. Practice notes. And of course, when you look at things to be mindful of this summer, of course, the kicking competition comes to mind. Tyler Loop, day 3 pick out of Arizona, is competing with an undrafted rookie by the name of John Hoyland. And here's what Jeff had on Loop's day yesterday. One to forget. He was 5 for 9 on field goal attempts. All 4 were misses, and that included 3 straight were 50 plus. So all 4 misses, and that included 3 consecutive misses, were from 50 plus. They've been rotating kicking reps on a daily basis. John Hoyland earlier this week converted from 49, 46, 49 again, 52, 37, and 48. So some early adversity for Tyler Loop, who you would think it's his job to lose, being that they actually used day 3 draft capital on a kicker. But I just continue to go back to, one, he may have the biggest leg in the entire draft. And that's, I'm sure, one of many things that stood out to Coach Randy Brown, who really advocated hard for Tyler. But it's really hard to try and simulate or try and foresee how a player might transition to life in the NFL from a pressure management standpoint, from an overall ability perspective, from a day-to-day. And I'm not saying it's time to just write off Tyler Loop. It's literally June 12th. But the days of these kicks and the field goal position as a whole being an afterthought and a shoo-in and a mainstay are over. And that's the harsh reality that the Ravens decided to do when they released Justin Tucker last month. Elsewhere, around the AFC North, shall we? Shamar Stewart. This is really becoming, what's the next word after saga? Because that's where we're at right now in Cincinnati. Shamar remains unsigned. He was a 17th overall pick, pass rusher out of Texas A&M. Stewart had been attending team activities, but without a signed contract, according to Adam Schefter. And with the Bengals asking for certain clauses, right? The language that we spoke about, guarantees, voiding guarantees, all that being very much an inner conflict right now. Shamar's like, I'm out. I'm leaving mandatory minicamp. So imagine your first round rookie, who everybody's excited about in terms of the upside, not necessarily the production. Okay, the F to play it up stat that, or the F to play up stat that Chris Sims kind of was talking to me about during our interview at the Combine was something that excites you about Shamar. But, 4.5 sacks over 3 years, I think it was, if memory serves, doesn't exactly get you fired up. But he's your first rounder, and that comes with conversation, comes with coverage, comes with potential, so on and so forth. And due to new language being thrust into this contract by Bengals ownership for the first time ever, now he's not at mandatory team camp, and it becomes that much more of a distraction on top of the distractions that already exist with Trey Hendrickson. It's a total disaster. I don't know if it's going to be a disaster internally, but it's certainly not setting up for some stability to give the Bengals a chance to do what they haven't been able to do much throughout the Joe Burrow era, and that is start hot. They've started slow consistently. Speaking of slow, it's been a slow year or two in terms of on-field play for one Deontay Johnson, who's been with how many teams over the last calendar year? I know the Ravens were one of them for a cup of coffee. I know Pittsburgh got the whole thing started because that's where he's been. I know that Houston was one. And now he's a Cleveland Brown. Deontay spoke with reporters yesterday, and I am going to tee off on him on the other side of this clip. Listen to this.
So, just to get another opportunity to be here. That's one day at a time. Control what I control. Make the most of my opportunities, and that's how it is for me right now. For sure. I don't like to speak on a lot of stuff, so I just, everybody gonna have their opinions. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm the only one in that room and really know what be going on. So I can only, everybody, like I say, they entitled to their own opinion. So I can only go off of what I know and then try to go off what I, can put out there, like in my best effort. But like I said, last year. I'm trying to turn and change that narrative and move the right way and just keep going, bro.
I lied. I can't get through the whole clip. I got the second half will be coming up in just a second. You don't like to speak on things? No. You're actually you owe your team, you owe the general public speaking on things. Because you quit on your team. You've been a problem for over a year now. And if you want to get back in the good graces, let's put the general public aside for a second. If you want to show that you have more left to give in this league, which I think he does from a physicality standpoint as a player, get up there and explain or take some accountability for what's taken place and why your last year has consisted of issue after issue after issue. He doesn't, to me, he doesn't get to do that. He doesn't get up to that press conference and ignore or shoo away every single question. Take a little bit of ownership. Take a little bit of accountability. He didn't give those two things to the Ravens. I know that for sure. Now, he may still have respect in that locker room. I know when the Ravens played, who was it? Houston or whoever it was, Lamar, and everybody was dapping him up. And I'm sure he's got good rapport. But some of this is a PR thing. Get up there, take ownership, hold your head high, and then at the end you can say, hey, it's in the past. What's in the past is in the past. I'm moving forward. And I'd be able to do that. But if I'm on the other end of that interview right there, I'm pressing him even harder. Let's go.
It's one bad year. It's one year. I had 5 great seasons in Pittsburgh. It's 1 year. That don't define me as a player. None of that. My character, none of that. So, like I said, everybody going to say what they want to say about me, but I know who I am as a person deep down, and that's all that matters to me. So it's NFL, it's the business. I don't have no control over that. The Browns called, and I'm happy to be here, and that's all I'm worried about. I'm still in that form. It's just a matter whenever I get my opportunities, and be able to put it on film. Another weapon to the receiver room, offense, make plays, can be a help to the younger guys and stuff like that. Really just trying to be myself, get back to where I left at, just like I say, make the most of my opportunities whenever they come, put it on film. That's really my main focus.
First of all, before I get back to quick hits, Mimi Ray, sup, happy Thursday. Look, I've said my piece on Deontay Johnson. Best of luck to him in Cleveland. We'll see if he can right his wrongs, get back on the right foot. I still think he's got more left to give when it comes to his abilities, and Cleveland could use him, by the way, as sort of a more than a role player, whatever he has left in the tank. Lamar Jackson going into 2025. Look at where he sits right now in terms of the all-time NFL passer rating career leaders. 102 flat. A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers, 102.6 leads the way. Mahomes, 102.1. So just a fraction of a difference there between Mahomes and Lamar. Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson round out the top 5 all-time NFL passer rating career leaders. Perhaps Lamar could climb his way and find his way up this list if he continues the type of excellence that he's been on for multiple years now since Todd Monken showed up, and he has just proven to master just a total masterclass of a system. Last night, John Harbaugh popped over to Camden Yards and was sitting with a familiar face, just the Hall of Famer and Baltimore's best, Cal Ripken Jr. Adley Rutschman showing him a little love. Big win last night, 10-1 for the Orioles over the Tigers, who've been playing some good ball, a lot better ball over the last couple weeks than really the first quarter of the season, which was nothing short of a disaster that led to, of course, the dismissal of manager Brandon Hyde. But how about a foul ball that ended up making its way over to this part of the ballpark?
Foul back of home by Wencel Perez, and it reaches the first row right around Cal Ripken Jr. and John Harbaugh.
Look at these guys. Let me mute that. That's pretty close. Harb's almost got nailed. He kind of ducked out of the way. He's got to have his glove there. Can we all agree that in terms of grown men showing up to ballparks with gloves, baseball gloves, that Jim Harbaugh would absolutely be one of those guys? Can we all agree on that? John, not so much. Jim is showing up with a glove, eye black, a hat, Oakley sunglasses, maybe even a jersey with his name on the back of it. 1,000%. That's going down. How is my arms a topic in the live chat? It's very hard to pay attention when the live chat's actually open. Mimi, sup? How have my arms become the main topic of conversation? It's not even Friday, and you guys are absolutely whack right now. So good stuff there. Nice little evening at the ballpark. And then the next morning, John popped on Good Morning Football in honor of Father's Day weekend, and his daughter, Allison, was on there with him. It was kind of a very touching, sweet segment. I got a couple snippets for you again in honor of Father's Day weekend.
Got here in 2008. I was in first grade, so I think I learned really fast. So this was a really big deal. I was like, wow, it's really all on him as the head coach sometimes. I remember going into school Monday morning after a loss on Sunday. I was like, Mom, please don't make me go to school. Who's going to be the first kid to say something, And it was tough, but my mom gave me some great advice. Just keep your head held high. You're proud of your dad and what he's done. And, there's tough moments like that, but gosh, it's just all glory to God with where he's brought us and all the amazing moments we've had because of it too. It's brought our family really close together, our extended family and just my parents and I. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
John, what's it like to listen to that?
Makes me proud, makes me happy. I think everybody's path is different. Man makes his plans, but God orders our steps. And these are the steps that God has ordered for us, and you try to kind of understand the reason, and life is best understood in reverse, right? You kind of look back and it starts to make sense to you, and I see Allison and the young woman that she's become and the things that she's gone through, and her adversities have been different than other people's adversities, and her great moments have been different, but they've been hers and unique to her, and she's handled them in the greatest way she could, in her way, and it's been nothing but success and a blessing to people. Yeah, that's a dad talking, right? I mean, she makes me proud every single day. And she's going to law school next year at Loyola in Chicago. Wow. That'll be her next step. So it's pretty awesome as a dad.
Touching there on Good Morning Football, NFL Network earlier. Allison played lacrosse at, I think, South Florida, began her career at Notre Dame, and now, according to Harbs, is going to law school at Loyola Chicago. So she just seems like a super brilliant young woman. And she also had some things to say about her dad as well.
So we know Father's Day is Sunday, and Father's Day can be a little bit more low-key than Mother's Day, but you have this really unique opportunity that your dad is sitting here with us, all of us on live television on Good Morning Football. What do you want to say to your dad, John, about what he means to you?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can follow up what he said, but Mom and I are so proud of him. I'm an only child, so the three of us are just so close, and he's just been the greatest dad through whether it's athletic career, helping me through all the highs and lows of that and coaching me and just always being there for me. Never missed a game this season. And not only that, but just in my life, he always has so much wisdom, the best advice. He just lives out his faith every single day. And I look up to him so much for that. And we're best friends. And, there's no one I'd rather be with than you and Mom. So happy Father's Day. Love you.
Love that, man. Love it.
We love the Harbaugh guys. And for this Father's Day, let's do it all together with the right gusto on Father's Day. Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
Nice little segment this morning. The whole thing was tweeted out by Good Morning Football if you want to check it out. But Allison and her father, John, you just get the sense that Harbs is like an all-American father and somehow figures out how, in the midst of the really demanding job, one of the most demanding jobs in the country, can maintain his presence as a father. I got a lot of respect for him in that department. And best of luck to Allison going off to law school at the University of Loyola Chicago, not to be confused with my alma mater, Loyola, Maryland. We've got more super chats to discuss, and you guys are just off the deep end, aren't you? You really are. Olu writes, I like the possibility of getting an Alexander, but I'm nervous about having too many upper-level guys, if that makes sense. Awuzie and Alexander were both number ones. Don't want attitudes to mess it all up. That's kind of what I was getting at, just referring to this positionless defense, right? When you come in as an accomplished player like a Jalen Ramsey, like a Jair Alexander, Cheeto, certainly not to that extent, but has had a lot of success throughout his career when healthy, particularly during his time in Cincinnati. You do have to sort of check yourself on your way in, right? Why are you there? And just how willing are you to be a participant? And in a lot of ways, what kind of selflessness level are you willing to go to? And I think that's a legitimate question. I don't know about a concern, but a legitimate question that the Ravens have to be comfortable with before potentially acquiring one of those types of players. James Green writes, Bobby, it was to say double B. Double B. Double B. Oh, Bobby Baltimore. Hey, double B, should apply more pressure on the pass rush. Double B. It was to say double B. Still not with you, James. I'm sorry, dude. Olu writes, also, I'm excited about the possibility of having, these are the times where you want Sarah, right? So like, hey, Sarah, can you help me decipher what this hieroglyphic super chat consists of? Maybe it's just going right over my head. Regardless, James, you're the man. Olu writes, also, I'm excited about the possibility of having Orr in his second year, seeing him more comfortable with Lamar, also looking more comfortable. Seeing him more comfortable with Lamar also looking more comfortable, plus the O-line getting better. Please, let's stay healthy. Appreciate the super chat, Olu. Thanks for being here, man. Asmodeus writes, for anyone shizzing on Stewart, this is the same as a misunderstanding at work, resulting in you possibly having to work for free for 5 years. Yeah, I can't quite get behind anybody that is calling out Shamar for not playing. I mean, it's some ridiculous clause, the language that had never been before used as an organization by the Bengals, and they want him to be the guinea pig. It's crazy. Mimi Ray writes, Bobby Biceps, hope you're having a great week. The plot thickens. Mimi, I hope you are having a great week. I hear you're from the Minnesota area. That's what chat tells me. So hope you're having a great time. How did a Baltimore Ravens fan end up in Minnesota? Would love to know. Appreciate you for being here, Mimi. Tim Hughes, we're both leaning into this too. It's hysterical. Bobby Biceps, I've been called much worse inside this show. Tim, who's celebrating 1 month of channel membership, writes, Bungles, Doo-Doo Browns, and A-Rod hostage Steelers. They're going to be better than you think, I guarantee it. Are ensuring our path to the Super Bowl is the easiest it's been, at least since Lamar has been here. Tim, I don't know if I'm with you on that. I really don't. Since he's going to be a problem once they figure out all this drama, the Steelers are going to be the most formidable they've been since Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, if Aaron can stay healthy. And Cleveland's not a problem, but if you play mistake-unfree, if you play mistake football, which they did last year in one of those games they played them, Kyle Hamilton should have wrapped up that interception on Jameis Winston to seal it. The Browns will hang around. We saw that last year, so not quite with you on this one. Thanks for being with us for a month, by the way. Hopefully you renewed at the end. That'd be great. C King says, how long before likely is tight end one? By mid-season, in my opinion. I think it's going to happen naturally. I still think Mark and Isaiah could absolutely coexist in a world this year where they're both, it sucks for them because they're entering contract years, both of them, the whole tight end room is, but I could still see them being like an AB or really like a co-1 tight end. If I'm a betting man, who's going to be the more productive player? I'd like to say Isaiah, but I also don't want to write off the fact that the Lamar-Mark partnership is 7 years running. This will be year 8. And so I don't think that just all of a sudden vanishes. But who has the more upside at this point in his career? It's Isaiah, obviously. For sure. He's the more athletic freak. He's somebody that you would think has more upside and has just as much of a rapport in a shorter amount of time with Lamar. So I don't know. How long before likely is tight end one? It would not surprise me if he runs the table this year But it also wouldn't. I'm just not in love with either one of these scenarios. I could see either one happening. Isaiah being tight end 1 and universally respected as such at the end of this season, or the fact that they were both the dynamic duo that they were last year. I could see it. I could see both scenarios happening. Not a fan says Bobby Sup Trosset. That's a new one for me. I did kind of give that nickname to myself, though, a little while ago when I was attempting to riz my new Minnesota girlfriend. Joking, but maybe Mimi's down for that. Who knows? Long distance could be calling card for me. Chris writes St. Pete to Minnesota long distance. That would really work. Chris hits us with a super chat, which brings us, and I should say a gift-giving super chat. 730 is where we sit now in terms of overall channel members. Chris has been on a tear lately, a tear of generosity. Appreciate you, Chris, so much on top of what you did yesterday and last week and the week before. Thank you for being here. Not a fan writes, reasons why the chat is so wild. 1, we have become one big family and talk about everything. 2, Mama Sarah isn't here to keep people in line. Just so everyone's aware, Sarah's not in the Discord. I see a lot of people commenting on like, oh my, does Sarah have a front row seat to what's happening in the Discord? Not that I know of. I think she would have told me if she joined it. So Sarah's not in the Discord at the moment. That's where we're at on that. But you're right, Steve. I mean, it's a good point, Steve. Obviously, when you become close with people, whether it's a virtual relationship or in person, you get a little bit of leeway, which is why I've been letting a lot of it roll. And I don't think any of it's been super over the top. So, but then again, I haven't watched all of it unfold. There's 139 comments, and I literally just stopped looking at it like 5 minutes ago. 140, 141. I mean, it just continues to go and go and go and go and go. Patrons, Alyssa Thomas and Christopher Washington, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate the support that you continue to give us through Patreon. You're a part of that community. You have been for a while, and this is your monthly shout out. So thank you so much for the support. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast is where you can go to learn more about how to get involved. And before I jump, I have to tell you, I would love for you to go join. I should say enter. Get the English language down, Bobby. You can do it, bud. Baltimore County Golf. Enter into the giveaway before the end of day. We're going to randomly select a winner. And tomorrow's winner, as you see right here, to our Father's Day contest giveaway, is going to get $350 that can be used directly at the Fox Hollow Training Center. That's in Baltimore County. And it's going to go directly towards the purchase of a new golf club or clubs there. They're going to give you a 30-minute custom fitting on top of that to guarantee you have what you need. Again, end of day is what you have before the entries close up. It's super easy. If you click on the link that's included in the show notes and also as a pinned comment right now in the live chat, it'll take you to the site that you see up on the screen. Audio only audience. It's in the description of the podcast if you want to go check it out. But all you got to do to enter to win, look at this. Email, number, name, zip, and if you've played any of these courses in the Baltimore County family, Greystone, Woodlands, Diamond Ridge, Fox Hollow, Rocky Point, that will not count against you if you haven't. It's that simple. And we got another month of partnership coming up the rest of the way leading up to our vacation with the folks at Baltimore County Golf, which I know Sarah and I are thrilled to be with. You already know I'm fired up too. It's U.S. Open weekend. It's Father's Day weekend. I got a Twilight round coming up tomorrow. Very much looking forward to it. I feel like the 200 messages that I have not yet opened require my attention, but for time purposes, it's time for me to go before I start talking out of my you-know-what, of my arse. It's time to go. Francis Trossett will join me tomorrow, my father, in honor of Father's Day. We will also announce and randomly select our winner for the Baltimore County Golf Father's Day weekend giveaway contest. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more to get to. Kadri was supposed to join, but he's got a tee time. Pretty decent excuse for our guy Q. But I'd like to have him in at some point soon. People are saying that I have another super chat that I missed. I don't see it. It never populated. Where is it? Where is it? I'm not seeing it. Oh, Mimi's right. Oh, how did I miss this? And why didn't it populate, Mimi? Can't believe that didn't populate. This is like an important super chat. Mimi's let me know what she's all about. She's giving me the elevator pitch. Okay. Mimi says, haha, not a Minnesotan. Born in Bosnia. God, I've always wanted to marry somebody in Europe. Born in Bosnia. Came to Baltimore when I was 3. I lived in Baltimore all my life, mostly until I moved 3 years ago, moving back to Baltimore next year. So does that mean that you're currently in Bosnia listening to us? Is that what's going on here? Not a Minnesota, born in Bosnia. Came to Baltimore when I was 3. I lived in Baltimore all my life. I'm taking that as if you're Bosnia chilling right now. It's kind of dope. Love it. Mimi, thank you for letting me know what's up. And leaning in to this whole shtick that we're having a good fun time with. Yes, there's something about, man, I got to tell you, this will be my one more thing, I guess, and then we'll jump. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint Mimi. I have always wanted to marry somebody that is not American. I have always had a certain level of fascination with people that we could be talking friends, we could be talking about in hostels, whatever it is, just meeting people that don't look like me, don't sound like me, and didn't grow up in an area that I grew up in. I don't know why. That's just something I love. I'm a worldly guy. I've always appreciated that. And I will tell you that when we did our brotherly trip, the 3 boys, 3 trusted brothers, to Austria in the fall of 2024, 2023. I can't even remember now. I think it was 23. I met a girl named Elena Peterson, her name is, on a train from Salzburg, Austria, which is a beautiful town. It's like a Harry Potter-esque town. From Salzburg to Vienna. And I kid you not, we met at the bathroom stall in one of the sections of the train. And we were both waiting. And it started simply because we were waiting and we were stuffed into that middle compartment area of a train car. I kid you not, we spoke for probably 20, 25 minutes, maybe longer. And as we spoke, and I was locked in on the conversation, unbeknownst to me, my brothers videoing the whole thing, laughing their arses off, videoing the whole thing. But I'm so locked in. She speaks 4 or 5 different languages. She travels all over the place. She works in hospitality. She's got a big family. She's well-traveled. And I am like, it's that classic, like, vacation goggles are on. My Europe goggles are on. And I am in love with this girl right here. Like, just straight up in that moment. I'm somewhat kidding. But what if I told you that we're still in touch? We still follow each other on Instagram. And I was just invited within the next year or so, there's not a date yet, to an Austrian wedding by a guy that I met in an Austrian bar that trip almost 2 years ago. It's a true story. And you know what I said to him? 2 things. 1, yes. 2, do I get a +1? Because I'm bringing Elena with me, and she already said yes. I'm just telling you guys, when I move to St. Pete September 1st, it's a new chapter for me. Nothing changes professionally. Our business is experiencing and enjoying as much momentum as we have ever had at this point in an offseason. And it really gives me a tremendous amount of encouragement, confidence, and fulfillment and gratitude for what's to potentially come this upcoming season. Because you guys know how it goes in this business in the offseason. Revenue drops, viewership drops, right? Everything kind of takes a step back. We haven't seen that this offseason for the most part. We are doubling, tripling different metrics that we were hitting a year ago. And I am so encouraged by all of that growth. And I suspect that that's going to continue into the season, which is going to continue to give me this unwavering sort of adventurous spirit to go do things, to go travel, to go continue to hire people and build our staff out and go work remotely in Austria for the rest of my life. I don't know how we got here, but we're here now. And that was my one more thing, which is completely impromptu. I'm almost gone 90 minutes. I always criticize Sarah for going long. And here I am now going friggin' long. Not a fan says, nah, get to the other super chat from Mimi. I think I got it, right? For whatever reason, Mimi, your Bobby Bicep Super Chat is the only one that I'm seeing. I think we're fully caught up to speed now, are we not? Let me do a scroll. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. David has just gifted a channel membership. Thank you, David. That brings us to 731. I wonder what tomorrow will bring. Very excited about it. By the way, I got an email, from a guy named, maybe I shouldn't out him, but I got 3 emails. James Green just became a Patreon member, by the way. I just saw this in our Vault email inbox. BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com, by the way. Sean, a guy named Sean, emailed me 3 times yesterday within 3:31 to 3:47, within a 16-minute time frame, and ripped me for keeping up with gifts as they come in and not being able to keep my train of thought, which I think I do pretty well. But the first subject line was, come on, man. The second was shout outs. And the third was, can't deal with this. I'll spare you from every single email that he sent along the way. I actually take it in stride because I think he loves the show and he doesn't want to hear about gifts. But Sean, I just got to tell you this right now. 1, thank you for caring enough to email us. 2, when gifts start to come in, it's the ultimate symbol of growth. And so we have to call it out for what it is. Yes, we don't want to take away from, and not call it out, but we want to acknowledge it for what it is, which is a generous gift that goes directly towards the channel and making other people more involved with the channel. And so 2 things. 1, I really appreciate you reaching out. 2, moving forward, we'll do a better job of kind of picking our spots, finishing topics. We try to be very regimented. And admittedly, when you host a show solo without your partner, sometimes it goes off the rails when it comes to that, just because it's so different. Talking 90 straight minutes, trying to keep up with the live chat, getting your sponsor reads in, sticking topic to topic, making sure that branding and everything else that goes into the show is going as it should. So just want to be clear on that. I appreciate you reaching out. David, thank you for getting us to 731, by the way. Appreciate all of you guys for enjoying today's show, or I don't know if you enjoyed it, but being with us on today's show. I have about 500 comments to scroll up on, so I look forward to that very much. Why is the chat disappointed in me? What did I miss? You guys got to give me the spark notes for when I actually look at the chat, which I am right now. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift giving a membership today. You're fantastic. You guys are fantastic. Even Jeremiah, who rips every single one of my opinions. I don't know why, but he thinks I do great work. So I'll appreciate that, and I'll take that to the bank. Jeremiah, thank you for never missing a show, and thank you for slitting my throat every single day of this annual year-round journey that we are all on. 3 years, late July. What an unbelievable milestone since we have been full-time in this space, and I really appreciate you guys for giving us all kinds of entertainment and support along the way. Sarah will be back next week. Francis Trossett will be joining us tomorrow to help give away and introduce, or I should say unveil, the winner of our giveaway, which is courtesy of Baltimore County Golf. And we will also get into content. So thank you to Baltimore County Golf for sponsoring this episode. Thanks to all of you for hanging out. We had as many as over 700, Tila, in terms of concurrence. Look forward to getting Sarah's Twitter back in on that so we can get up into the thousands, which we will coming up next week. Have an awesome Thursday. No press conference today at 2:30, which means the next time you'll hear from me, if not this afternoon for the Bobby Baltimore side of things, will be 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. That is Friday the 13th. Ooh, appreciate you guys. I hope to see you then. And thank you for all the antics. Boy, I got a lot of comments to read, and that's what I'm going to go do right now, Voltrons. As always, thanks for hanging out, guys. Talk to you soon.